A very good afternoon, students. In this particular topic, or you can say in this particular session, we'll be discussing about motivation across cultures because we're talking about cross cultural management. So, when you talk about motivation, different countries, or you can say different cultures, have different ways of getting motivation. What may be motivating to a person from one culture may not be a motivating factor to a person from another culture. So, in this, the main highlights of this particular topic is the content theories of motivation and culture, in which we'll be talking about Maslow's theory, motivation theory, Herzberg's motivation theory, and McClelland's motivation theory. Then you have the process theories of motivation, where we'll be talking about equity theory, the goal setting theory, and the expectancy theory. And we have the Indian motivational theories. So we will say actually what are the various business management principles. So according to Hofstede, the stress on market process and competition, the stress on the individual, not the collective person, the focus on managers rather than on the workers. So these are the various management principles that USA follows. So are these US management principles applicable in the following countries? Countries where the government plays a role in guiding business, like in India or China. There is stress on the collective rather than the individual, that is in Japan and Indonesia. Labor is given an important role, for example, in Germany and Sweden. So the various principles that are being followed in USA, are they actually applicable to the other countries? So, what are the various cultural influences of motivation? Motivation can be defined as the process that accounts for an individual's intensity, direction, and persistence of efforts towards attaining a goal. Intensity is concerned with how hard a person tries. The effort has to be channeled in a direction that benefits the organization. Persistence is a measure of how long people can maintain their effort. A study found that key incentives for many workers was money. For Japanese, it was respect and power. For the Latin Americans, it was an array of factors like respect, job, status, good personal life. For China, it was extrinsic rewards and group affiliation. For India, it is extrinsic rewards and good relation with the supervisor. So Hofstede's cultural dimensions help us to understand influence of culture and motivation. The power distance, that is the degree to which the individual's interests prevail over collective interests. Individualism and collectivism, that is degree to which the individual's interests prevail over collective interest or vice versa. Masculinity and femininity, the degree to which masculine traits like ambition and aggressiveness versus feminine traits like caring and nurturing is given. Uncertainty avoidance, the degree to which individuals are willing to take the risks. So, what do workers around the world want from work? Like in USA, the workers want money and personal recognition. In Japan, they want respect and power and group harmony. Latin America, the workers require family consideration, respect, job status, and good personal life. In China, they want extrinsic rewards, harmony, group affiliation, loyalty from the supervisor. In Africa, they want respect, rewards, and in Russia, it is extrinsic rewards and loyalty from the supervisor. In India, it is extrinsic rewards and good relationship with the supervisor. In Sweden, it is autonomy. So, if we talk about Hofstede's dimension and how it impacts the motivation. So, in case of a country which is having a high power distance culture, the relationship between subordinates and their boss is a motivating factor. In low power distance culture, the people are more motivated by teamwork and relations with their peers. In highly individualistic countries, people are motivated by opportunities for individual advancement and autonomy. In collective culture, motivation works through appeals to group appeal. In masculine culture, the employees are comfortable with traditional division of work and roles. Money is an important motivator. In feminine culture, the people are more flexible about roles. The quality of work life is an important motivator. People in strong uncertainty avoidance cultures are motivated by the job security. People with weak uncertainty avoidance cultures are motivated by risk opportunities. So, culture may influence individual self concept, incorporating personal needs, beliefs, and values. Societal norms of work ethics and achievement, environmental factors including education, legal systems, and levels of prosperity. Of Street's four dimensions of culture and motivation. So, what is happening that in a power distance, which is a country or a culture which is having a high power distance, relationship between subordinates and boss is a motivating factor. In low power distance, people are motivated by teamwork and relation with peers. In high individualist, people are motivated by opportunities for individual advancement and autonomy. In collective, motivation is through group goals and support. In masculine cultures, employees are comfortable with traditional division of work and roles. Money is an important motivator. In feminine culture, people are more flexible about roles, and the quality of life is motivated. In strong uncertainty avoidance, are motivated by job security, and in weak uncertainty avoidance are motivated by risky opportunities, variety, and fast track advancement. If we talk about Maslow's theory type needs are important across the world. However, the importance accorded to each needs varies. So the ways in which needs are satisfied vary across the cultures. So you can see the Maslow's hierarchy, that is level one, that is the physiological needs. So the way needs are satisfied are different across cultures. Norms for eating in China, they use hands and chopsticks. Drinking, sleeping, in Asian countries children sleep with parents, and in the rest of the culture the children don't sleep with the parents. Level 2, the security needs. In collectivist countries, the family is very important in providing security needs. In poor countries, the security need is often the most important. The extended family is a means of security, as there is no social security system supported by the state. For example, people in poorer countries sacrifice some level needs at level 1, like receiving low salary leading to lower quality of life in return for the security of a long term job. Level number 3, affiliation needs. In relationship oriented cultures, diffuse cultures, and collectivist cultures, official affiliation needs are very strong. Official affiliation needs are not as strong in task oriented specific cultures. People from these cultures, like Southeast Asia, give high priority to building relationships at work. Level number 4, self esteem. The way people gain self esteem is different across cultures. Once level 1, 2, and 3 are fulfilled, now person has need for recognition, success, and prestige. The Employee of the Month award has become a common award in MNCs. But because Japan is actually a collectivist culture, so it is not liked by the Japanese people. Now, if we talk about level 5 of Maslow's hierarchy, in Western cultures, doing helps to achieve self-actualization. In traditional Eastern cultures, being helps to do so. So, in Hindu culture, it is believed that self-actualization is achieved if one has realized God. Working hard for a corporation is generally not common goal among Indian employees. Now, if you talk about the Herzberg's two-factor theory, there are various motivators like achievement, recognition, the work itself, responsibility, advancement, and growth. The hygiene factors are company policies, supervision, relationships, work conditions, remuneration, salary, and security. So, four stages in a general sense, there are four stages an organization or team can find themselves when it comes to two factor theory: high hygiene and high motivation. This is the ideal situation and the one which every manager should strive for. Here, all employees are motivated and have very few grievances. High hygiene and low motivation. In this situation, employees have few grievances, but they are not highly motivated. An example of this situation is where pay and working conditions are motivated. So the working conditions are competitive, but the work isn't very interesting. So employees are simply there to collect the salary. Third, low hygiene and high motivation. In this situation, employees are highly motivated, but they have a lot of grievances. So, typical example of this situation is where the work is exciting and really interesting, but the pay and the conditions are behind competitors in the same industry. Now, the fourth one, low hygiene and low motivation. This is obviously a very bad situation for an organization to find itself. Here, employees aren't motivated, and the hygiene factors are also not up to the mark. So, workers in less developed countries may focus more on extrinsic or hygiene factors. Workers in countries like UK, France, Canada, and Japan value intrinsic growth factors as extrinsic growth are taken for granted. Indian managers may not separate extrinsic and intrinsic factors. Therefore, the presence of both is necessary for job satisfaction. हाँ কাজ করছি
ওটা বাদে কি করছো? মুড়মুড়ে কি করছো?